Welcome to the Vocal Fries Podcast, a podcast about linguistic discrimination.
I'm Carrie Gillen.
And I'm Megan Figueroa. And today we're going to be talking about swearing. One of our favorite topics, right?
Yes. And today, obviously, we're always not safe for work, but today is particularly not safe for work. Just be forewarned.
Yeah, put your headphones in. Don't play this around children unless, you want them to be exposed to this. It might be good for them.
Depending on their age, yes.
Yes.
There's probably an age that's too young, but I'm not going to say what that is because I think that's none of my business.
Yeah, exactly.
So we wanted to talk about swearing for many reasons, but partially it was just because, we swear a lot, and women get judged for swearing more than men do. And we just wanted to explore what's actually going on. And also, there's been a bunch of weird studies about swearing, and my favorite one is the association between swearing and honesty. So supposedly there's a correlation between those people who swear and those people who are honest. So I thought that was really fascinating, and if that's true, that would be super fun.
Which means that Abraham Lincoln probably swore a fuck ton.
I don't think it goes in the other direction. I think it's only if you swear you're honest, not if you're honest then you swear. I could be wrong about that. I didn't really read the study that carefully because that's not my area of expertise.
Right. All right. So then don't believe me on Abraham Lincoln is swearing.
I like it though. Let's pretend it's true.
Yeah. What would swears have looked or sounded like back then? I was looking at the OED and looking at some dates, and there would have been some fucking back then, a little bit.
Oh yeah, fuck's been a swear word for like centuries, many, many centuries.
Yeah.
Probably more religious-oriented swearing than now.
Yes.
But yeah, I think some of the ones that we have now are still the same, like...
Yeah, like the excrement stuff, like shit must have been.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's an old one too. I mean, shit and fuck are both very Germanic, so that means they're very old.
You take some fuck, then some shit, then some fuck, then some shit. You got a fuck shit stack, a fuck shit stack. Take some fuck.
And we can tell they're Germanic since it's a short word, right? Like a lot of words that we still have from Germanic are very short.
Yes.
Home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. That's one.
Wife.
Wife, yes. Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was our old English lesson. All right.
Yeah. Oh, and also we wanted to make a note that sometimes swearing is very abusive. So it's not that we think that swearing is always good. It's just that it's not always bad. And so we will talk a little bit more about abusive swearing in a bit.
Right, so this might be a content warning for anyone that needs that.
Yes.
So.
And also, you can still be an abuser and say all the right things. So it's just because someone swears does not mean they're a bad person. Anyway.
Right.
And we also talk about different kinds of swearing. So the ones that maybe are better versus worse. And also time and place. Like I always try to make this argument. Sometimes you shouldn't say something because it's the wrong time or place. For example, maybe you don't want to be swearing in your house of worship, but you probably already know that. So yeah. Anyway, that's just the background to why we're talking about swearing.
I am a scientist, so I can't say always, but everyone, but almost everyone swears.
Oh yeah. So one of the things. Okay. I didn't double check to make sure that this number was correct, but according to the BBC, 90% of Brits swear on an average of 14 swears per day.
Wow.
I have no idea what the numbers would be for the United States or any other country, but my guess is, at least in English-speaking countries, people swear a fair amount.
Wow, so the average is 14, and I am extraordinary. If I were British, I would be extraordinary.
I have to assume that the Australians swear the most, so they might be even higher than that.
Right, and their swears look different, right? I mean, is bloody actually quite swearish in England, say?
I think it's more sweary there than it is here. Like here, it sounds really silly, but I still don't think it's like a super strong swear. It's not like fuck.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Yeah, when I would, reading Harry Potter or watching the Harry Potter movies, when they say bloody, I always thought they were saying fuck. But But it was like it was cute because we were like an American audience and we like didn't know, but okay.
I mean,
I guess it couldn't be PG if it were.
No, yeah, she wouldn't use like really harsh swears, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, for example, one of the swears that Brits use way more than North Americans do is cunt, and they use it like really freely, and there it's not nearly as strong as it is here.
Right.
So, okay, so I think what we're sort of like tiptoeing towards is the fact that swearing really tells you something about a culture. It tells you what's taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Magnus Leung wrote a whole book on swearing called Swearing, a Cross-Cultural Linguistic Study. and he noticed that, and this part is not new, swearing involves taboo words, if that's obvious. But there's also something to be said about the literal meaning sort of being not there. So if you say something like the shit hit the fan, you're not saying anything about literal feces. Right.
I like how wait, but what if you're a monkey?
Yes.
That was my cute little joke that I thought was hilarious that I put on the notes. Because shit really does hit things when you're a monkey.
That is true. I don't know how often they throw shit at fans, but if they do, then yes, then that would be literal. I mean, like all idiomatic expressions, there are literal versions of it. So he kicked the bucket. I guess you could be talking about a human male kicking a bucket.
Right, right.
But normally it means die. So
yes. But the point is these are very idiomatic. Swears are very idiomatic, which means that they're hard for second language learners too. Yes. Or if you're in another country. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Speaking of being in another country, there are some countries that will arrest you for swearing.
Right. Yes.
So don't swear in all locations.
Right. That goes back to the time and context thing.
Yes. Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
He also pointed out, Leung pointed out that swearing is a type of formulaic language, and that is really true. Like, think about, he's hungry as fuck. Like, that's just become this little formula that we add to the end of sentences now. Right.
Yes, and like, for fuck's sake, I was looking at the OED, and for fuck's sake, the first known occurrence was in 1943, which I thought was earlier than I would have guessed. And apparently, fuck a duck. Another idiomatic expression, I hope, first came to be in 1931. And the sentence was, tell her to go fuck a duck. So.
Yeah, that one's so old, I don't even really think about that one. But the first one, for fuck's sake, I don't know. I don't know why I wasn't as surprised that it was that old.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, flying fuck is kind of old, too. I can't remember what the dates are. I want to say 19th century. And originally it meant fuck on a horse.
Oh. I didn't know that. Like, literally?
Supposedly.
Oh, okay.
It just seems so difficult, so I can't.
This one also surprised me. I mean, maybe I'm just like surprised by like how profane our ancestors were. But not to give a fuck is the first occurrence was in 1879, and I really love the sentence. For all your threats, I don't care a fuck. I'll never leave my princely darling duck. I don't know if it was like a poem, but
sounds like a poem.
Yeah,
it sounds actually familiar to me, but I can't place it.
It says that it's from Harlequin. Prince Cherry Top? I don't know.
Oh, okay. No.
Line 19. Anyway, they talked about ducks a lot back then. So yes, fuck has been around for a long time, and the idiomatic ways to say or use it have been around for a long time too.
Mm-hmm. Although not nearly as long as the word fuck itself.
Right.
Because that's from at least the 14th century. Fuck is.
Right. And it was a verb first.
Yeah. Yeah. And it meant, originally it meant to hit or to strike. And that's interesting because now we use, I want to hit that to mean I want to have sex with that person.
I hit that. Yes.
You did that.
Yeah.
So we're coming back full circle.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and another thing that Leung pointed out is that swearing really reveals the speaker's attitudes and feelings. And I think that's really important, and especially if you're talking about slurs, which we're going to talk about it a little bit in a minute, but it tells you more about the speaker than the person that you're speaking to. So I think that's a good thing to remember. So slurs.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
They are a type of swearing, but we're not going to focus too much on them. I mean, obviously some of them will come up And we will talk about them, but we're not going to talk about all of them, and we're not going to talk about them in that much detail, partially because even mentioning them in some cases are so painful to the targets, the people that are targeted by them, that I just don't even want to go there.
Right.
And also they're very complicated, like even more complicated than other swearing, I think. And so if we were going to talk about them, we should probably do a whole show on them.
Right.
And also, again, slurs really do say more about the person uttering them than the person that they're targeted at. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be hurt by it. So, like, yeah, we're just going to set them aside. Yeah. I try to stay away from most of them, personally.
Yes, me too. So there's 4 different ways in which swears come about. So according to Benjamin Bergen, a cognitive scientist, there are 4 major contributors for swear words. So sacred concepts, like
damnation.
Right, Jesus Christ. That's blasphemous for some people to say. Growing up, for me, I think I got a side eye if I ever said Jesus. And that's why I like to say it so much now. Especially combined with fuck. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Sex and sexual organs is another contributor for swear words. So cunt and dick and all that. Things that come out of your body. Mierda. So shit. What else comes out of your body? I don't know.
Piss, I guess. Some people
think that but that seems so weak, right? At this point.
Yeah, that's not a swear word to me, but to some people I think it is.
Yeah. And then finally, derogatory words for social groups, and that's going to be where slurs come in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all those ways to create swears, and then we have this like subgroup of slurs that we're not going to really talk about. But
so what I found really interesting about that list is that there are like all those categories you can slot in English, but it used to be that English, like in the Middle Ages, body parts and excretions were not taboo. So you could talk about these things very freely. And in fact, so both cunt and fuck were used in place names. I'm going to totally mangle this pronunciation, but there was a place name called Bella Weidekunthe or something like that. So like wide cunt, literally the name of a city or a town or whatever. That was in 1328. And there were also names with fuck in them. Like people's names too. Not just place names, people's names. And so they were just, it was not a big deal. But now they've obviously become more of a big deal. In the past, it was more about religion because, fear of God and, people were more devout than they are now.
Because I feel like even, like in Britain right now, they are more comfortable with the sexual organs and excretion and all those words than we are in the US, as I've seen from BBC shows. But I think it's like, I feel like it's this whole like family values, religious thing in the United States that has made it kind of even more taboo to say certain words.
Well, it's the puritanical thing. The Puritans left the UK and came here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to point out that actually, and I'm not the first person to point this out. Many people have pointed this out before me, that really we should reclaim cunt because etymologically it's way more feminist than vagina, because vagina is dependent on the penis for its definition. It literally means sword sheath. So I think we should try to reclaim cunt. I know it's hard because in North America, it can be used so viciously.
Right.
So I get it, but I'm trying. I'm going to like plant my flag here and say, let's do it.
Yes. And I love the thought that cunt is like etymologically feminist. So that would make a really good bumper sticker.
Oh,
by the way. Yeah, there's a thought. But yeah, cunt's one of those words where people are just like really taken aback when they hear it. That's why it's so hard, because you're kind of putting yourself out there when you use it. Yeah.
People even have a hard time saying vagina, so
yeah, what is Oprah used to say vajayjay. Like that was a thing. So
but my vajayjay is paining.
Yeah. And Oprah, what Oprah says goes. So I remember thinking about vajayjay as how to say vagina for a very long time as a big Oprah fan in my childhood.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yes, let's reclaim cunt.
So also, it's very culturally dependent, as we've already said, right? So even within English, what counts as a swear word in the UK is a little bit different than North America.
Right.
Same thing with French. So in Quebecois French, but not European French. Many of the swear words are derived from words for Catholicism, like tabernacle, which is just tabernacle, or Christ, which is Christ. It's very fun to hear Quebecois French being spoken.
That is so funny to me that those are swears. I mean, even, like, Catholics in the U.S. aren't offended by that, right? Like, you could say tabernacle, and they're not like, oh my God.
When would you ever say tabernacle, though?
Like, I mean, I don't know what kind of conversations Catholics are having. So that's not fair for me to say. But I don't know. Okay, fine.
It would be weird for an English speaker to be like, tabernacle, trying to swear. No one would understand it.
Wait, so would other Canadians then, do other Canadians know that this is offensive to Quebecois?
As far as, well, okay, I'm a linguist, so I don't know. I think
okay.
so.
Okay.
I think Canadians know.
All right.
But yeah.
It's another thing where, again, like, we're saying that some swear words, like, could get you arrested in other places, but, like, you can go to other places and not know that a word is a swear word to them.
Well, you're unlikely in this instance to use that word out of the blue. Like, if you were to use it, you would be using it as, like, a description. Like, I don't even know what a tabernacle is, to be honest. I just know it's part of the Catholic thing.
I don't know what it is either, but I feel like you're daring me to, like, add this to my lexicon. So, I mean, just...
Find the Spanish version of it and try and turn that into a swear.
It might be already. I don't know. They are, a lot of them are Catholic.
Yes, I know.
I'll have to look into that.
Okay, so I was obsessed with swear words back when I was much younger. Just, I don't know. I thought it's fascinating because it tells you something about another culture. And so I asked one of my friends, who's Dene, which is the proper name for Navajo, how to swear in Dene Bizad, which is Navajo. And she told me that bears are considered to be so powerful that if you invoke the name of the bear twice, then that is kind of like swearing. It's not exactly the same, but it's like it's a taboo animal, like so powerful. And then women, I think we're so taboo that words referring to us become swear words, or at least just bad very easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the Spanish example of how like que madre like means like it's like a swear. So like literally that's like what mother. But que padre, like what father, is like how cool or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a really good one to look at side by side.
Or the difference between cunt and dick. Like, come on. Dick is so soft, soft.
So soft.
Dick is so gentle in comparison.
Oh, that's still funny. It really is. It's like, it's kind of playful.
Yeah, it's much more playful. I mean, call someone a dick. I mean, yeah, maybe you're saying that they're a bad person, but it still just doesn't have the same harshness to it.
Right. Like when we use the word cunt or bitch, if people are referring to men or people that identify as men, it's usually to insult them in some way because women are seen as lesser, weak. Mm-hmm. Right. And then there is also the word bitch, I feel, is like really complicated. So when we use it for women, it's often used for women that are actually quite competent, good at their jobs, etc. I feel like it's a way to, I don't know, put them in their place kind of thing. Like we're uncomfortable with women being so competent or getting the job done or whatever, these things, these kind of characteristics that are normally reserved for men, that we see them as bitches.
Yeah, so I think there's something about, well, it's definitely misogyny, but I think the misogyny sort of comes from this place of men being afraid of women. Like we have this, like menstruation scares the shit out of them, for example.
Yeah,
so it's very common for words of referring to women or women's body parts to become negative in a way that usually men's body parts don't, or at least not as much. Like, even hussy, which is not really a swear word. It's too gentle to be, at least for me, I don't consider it to be a swear word. It just meant housewife.
Right.
Like, how do you go from housewife to whatever hussy means?
I mean, it probably says a lot about what we think about women in the home, or just women. Yeah, women in general, but
just women in general, because you don't think of a hussy as being in the home, right? Hussy is like the side piece.
That's true. It transforms somehow, though, through our history.
Yeah,
from housewife to hussy. Yeah, I was reading a book called How Emotions Are Made. I thought that the 2016 election recently was a particularly high time for bitch, because it was used a lot to refer to Hillary Clinton. And in this book it says, whenever I see a savvy male politician play the angry bitch card against a female opponent, I take it as an ironic sign that she must be really competent and powerful. I have yet to meet a successful woman who hasn't paid her dues as a bitch before she was accepted as a leader. I feel like that kind of sums up how I feel about people calling Hillary bitch, or using all of saying that she was flawed as well, even though that's not a swear. All these adjectives that we're describing her ultimately come back to how uncomfortable we are with women.
And I actually kind of half like the word bitch and half hate it. Like, it's fun in some instances, and I like to call like a group of people bitches. Like, it's fun.
All right, girls. Good morning, bitches. Good morning, bitches. We're winning, bitches.
It is. There's some reclaiming happening, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's only partial, and it still gets wielded as a weapon. So
it's true. There are definitely a lot of women that are still uncomfortable with bitch. So it's like one of those things where I want to like it, but I also don't want to make people uncomfortable. Yeah.
I mean, I do think women using the word can be better, although there are definitely women who used it in a very sexist way, because just like with our last episode, women are part of the problem too.
Right.
But anyway.
Oh, so some new words that are becoming swears in English.
Yeah, my favorite new one, even though it's horrible, is cuck. Which... yeah. Every time I see it, because you almost never hear it, you almost only just see it written. Every time I see it written, I just laugh, because I'm like, why does this person think this is really an effective slur?
Right. And I mean, we're seeing it in like the neo-Nazi community, right?
Yeah, neo-Nazi, the so-called alt-right, dirtbag right.
Yes. They also love the word snowflake, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah, because anyone who seems to use that word themselves seems to be very sensitive.
Right. No, I know. There's some projection going on for sure.
Well, I think that's also what's going on with cuck. Like, the only reason why you're going to call someone that is because, A, you know that there's this section of porn that involves cuckolding. Which, I mean, why do you know this, or why do you care? Like, it's just somebody's fetish. Just why is that even a thing that crosses your mind, that you're like, ha ha?
I know. Yeah, didn't think about it that way, but yeah, leave people's fetishes alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, just leave that alone.
I think there's also a racial component to cuck that they're trying to key into, but again, it says more about you if you're using it.
Yes.
Because you've got some weird obsession.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then SJW, that was... I don't spend a lot of time engaging with any sort of neo-Nazi web presences.
You don't have to. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but then... So I didn't know... I had to Google SJW when I first saw it. Thankfully, Urban Dictionary is a thing, and it's very helpful. But yeah, SJW is social justice warrior. SJW is something that kind of, you let yourself be known that you're kind of an asshole when you use SJW, in my eyes.
Yeah. It means that you think social justice is not worthwhile, so therefore, why do I care what your opinion is?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so why do we swear? Why is it fun?
Well, I feel like we swear because it is fun, so that's one of the reasons.
Sure. True.
I mean, this isn't science for me, but it's fun because some people just really don't like it when you do it.
That's true. Yeah, so pissing off certain groups of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's always...
Well, one reason that people swear is to signal in-group status. So, like, around like-minded people or within a group, you're more likely to swear because you're all pals.
Right. Time and context as well. I swear much more when I'm with my friends. My parents don't love it, so I try not to swear in front of them because I am a conscientious daughter. But there's also some people use it to be abusive.
Yes.
Right. So especially with slurs, but it can be some of the words that we use that we think are more fun, like fuck, can also be used abusively.
Yeah, I mean, if you're yelling at somebody,
right,
that's obviously going to be more abusive. It also can show like that you're really good friends with somebody. Like, hey, you old bastard, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Not that I would say that
like,
particular.
Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever done that?
No, not that, but I know people have.
This is where I imagine Abraham Lincoln. Like, this is what he would say in my head.
Maybe.
Right?
I literally cannot imagine being in that time, so I really don't know. It also can help us let off steam. So, like, if you're really angry, sometimes it's good just to, like not swear at anybody, but just, like, swear. Or if you, like, stub your toe, supposedly, it relieves the pain.
Right. And there was a 2009 study that people cite when they talk about this. Like, it took the world by storm because there are some scientific studies that are really sexy. Like,
yeah.
And this was one of them. And I read it because I always like to read sexy science. It actually said that one of the findings was that people that swear more daily didn't actually get the effect as much. And the authors tied this to gender. So they said that men seem to swear more daily, so they didn't have as much of an effect as women did. And I think, of course, this goes back to sexism because, again, we seem to be more okay with men swearing. And the study also tied swearing to aggression, which I don't think is completely fair, especially since aggression is culturally defined, but a lot of times psychologists think of it as more universal, even though it's not, right? Aggression looks different in different cultures. But so the study was linking aggression with swearing, and people associate, both swearing and aggression with men, but it being okay with men. And for women to be aggressive is not okay. So there might be something there where we don't like when women swear because we think of it more as aggressive, possibly.
I mean, I do think that there is such a thing as aggressive swearing, kind of like
right, of course, swearing. Yeah.
And it may be the case that maybe men swear that way more than women do. I don't know.
Right.
And that, again, like you say, that's probably culturally specific. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely true that women are less. It's less good for us to swear than it is for men to swear, at least culturally.
Right. It's important to note that this is so much worse for Black women and women of color. Like,
right.
Of course. They are viewed so much worse when, if they're seen as aggressive or...
that Black women are often accused of being aggressive way more often than, say, white women are. That's absolutely true.
Right.
And so, it's harder for them to get away with swearing. But that... I mean, again, we should push back on that. It should be everybody should be allowed to swear at least time and place, like
right.
And it should be the same no matter who you are.
Right. Yeah. When we think about things like this, we see like the anti-Blackness of it or the anti-person of color of it. You see how ridiculous it is to judge people.
Yeah.
For their swearing, and you can see how culturally defined it is.
Yes. We also use swearing just to emphasize.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's fucking stupid is more emphatic than just that's stupid.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or that's fucking awesome. Right?
Yes,
so it
awesome.
can be very positive,
better.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't always have to be negative.
True.
When you're emphasizing something.
The other thing that swearing might be correlated with is honesty. So we talked about this before, but there's at least... Well, there's one study that shows, and you should always take any one study with a grain of salt. So if it gets replicated, then okay. But right now, the study says that if you swear, then you're more honest. David Stilwell says swearing is often inappropriate, but it can also be evidence that someone is telling you their honest opinion. So what he's basically saying is if you're not filtering your language, then maybe you're also not filtering your views. And so you're getting a better snapshot of that person's internal mind. And even if this ends up not being true, that feels true, right? It just feels like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So you should always be skeptical of anything that's like, oh, that makes sense.
Right. So there are some articles that say that it might be correlated with intelligence. And this also speaks to what swearing doesn't mean, and that doesn't mean you have a shitty vocabulary.
No, not at all.
Right. So there's actually a study that found that swearing was positively correlated with measures of verbal fluency. So again, take everything with a grain of salt, but in this study, people that swore more were actually, they had a very nuanced speech, they were very fluent in their speech, there was no poverty of vocabulary. Folks were fine.
I do wonder if it means that, like, how you use the swears, because if you're just saying fuck, shit, like that's it, that's your entire utterance, that doesn't seem like any evidence one way or the other of anything. But if you're using like these more elaborate swearing techniques, that means you have to have good vocabulary.
Ooh, elaborate swearing techniques. So what is that? Does that mean that I am just really fluent because I like to compound my swears?
Yes.
So motherfucking Jesus Christ, like I just like to combine everything. So I'm sure that speaks to my intelligence. Okay. But yes, so it might be correlated with intelligence. It definitely, for a fact, does not mean that you have a shitty vocabulary. So
right. And it might, again, time and place might be good for your career, because if you swear in front of the right person at the right time, they might be like, oh, you're not that snob that I thought you were, or you're not uptight. Now, again, certain people, certain places, you're not going to be able to get away with it. And so I'm not saying swear and you'll get a better job. No.
Right.
But if you can tell that you would do better in the job if you swore, then by all means, pull it out.
Yeah. Sorry. It also might show that you're passionate about something. So maybe something good at work happens, or whatever.
That's true. It can either be hey, we're all in this shitty experience together, or oh wow, we're in this awesome experience together. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Like you come out of a bad meeting and then you just like turn to your boss and say like, well, that was shit or something. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. But I would still like be careful as a woman or as any sort of marginalized group, because, these things don't work as well for us always.
Yes. So be careful.
Yeah. Also, swearing can be used to reclaim language. So we talked a little bit about bitch. Some people are reclaiming that. Cunt. Carrie says we should reclaim that. So I like that. What else? Slut. I think slut's being reclaimed or has been reclaimed by a lot of people.
It's some people have tried to reclaim it. Some people really strongly reject reclaiming it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm kind of on the fence about that one, because I just kind of think it shouldn't even come up.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Who you're having sex with or how many people you're having sex with. I just don't care.
Right.
So, oh yeah, Yankee used to be, it was a slur against Americans. Yankee Doodle is not a good song.
I mean, because
you're being mocked, Americans.
Well, Yankee Doodle dandy? Isn't dandy
like a fancy, like a man who dresses fancily, and like, so something to do with macaroni style was. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, the Brits were mocking Americans for the way they were dressing.
Oh, another thing that we should just like lay off. Let people dress the way they want to dress. Oh,
yes, if someone wants to wear a bikini to swim, let them wear it. Just go on with your life.
And anyone can wear a dress that wants to wear a dress. Like, come on. So, those are some of the reasons why we do swear, or why we use swearing. But what swearing doesn't necessarily mean is that you have X trait. I was reading a study that said that swearing is negatively correlated with ranking high on agreeableness and conscientiousness, which is part of the Big Five inventory of quote unquote universal traits that humans have. And I am agreeable as fuck, but I cuss all the time. And I just want to point out that this like goes back to time and place, because I am, and conscientiousness as well. I am like aware of my surroundings and when I should cuss and when I shouldn't. I think that these kind of studies are just the blanket claims that you might be more like kind or aware of your surroundings if you don't cuss is too much of a blanket term. Or a blanket claim.
Well, I'd have to look at it, but my guess is that it's a very small effect anyway.
Right.
So even if it's true, it's probably a very small effect. So of course you're going to have counterexamples regardless. So you as a data point doesn't take this down. However,
no, it doesn't.
However, I agree with you in general that it's probably not that great. Like it's not even if it's true, it's a tiny amount. So just because you swear doesn't mean that you're not agreeable or not conscientious.
Right. So I'd be careful with those kind of... It also said that swearing was positively correlated with extroversion. Again, I mean...
That seems completely wrong.
I know.
But I don't know.
Yeah. So I think the point here is that be careful with anyone or any study that claims that you're a certain type of person or have a certain type of personality if you swear.
Or anything. Those personality studies are a little suspect.
They are. Again, it's usually by like Western scientists who define these things.
Yeah, and they're only studying weird people, Western educated.
Right. And they do the studies on college students. There's so many people that are left out of higher education for so many reasons. And the ones that get there, they're, could be there for certain reasons. It's just it's not a random sampling.
No, it's not.
That is not random sample.
Yes. So it's very, there's usually just on college students, which college students are not even fully grown.
No. They're not fully actualized human beings yet.
Yeah. Our brains don't finish growing until around 25. So
right, exactly.
We definitely should not be basing all of psychology on that. I'm not saying all of psychology is based on 20-year-olds, but a lot of it is.
Psychologists, the comment section is below.
Yeah, right. Well, psychology is going through a shift, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's just talk about our favorite swear word. So minus fuck, because it is so versatile. You can say it in any which way, a noun, a verb, an adjective, can you say it as an adjective? Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking beautiful.
Of course you can, yeah.
An adverb. I mean, you can say it in so many different ways, and so I just really love it. And in fact, there's this whole scene in The Wire where McNulty and Moreland only utter some version of fuck. So fuck, motherfuck, motherfucking, fucking A, and fuck me. Maybe I missed one. And we'll put this up on the Tumblr because I think it's an interesting video to watch. But that's all they say for like 4.5 minutes. It's amazing. It's glorious.
And also, I'm just like listening to you say that, and I can imagine like how much is expressed through that, even though they're just using the word fuck. Yeah.
So they're exploring a crime scene, and so they're trying to figure out how this woman was murdered. So they're trying to figure out where the bullet casing was. So they're like exploring this scene, and they're just saying fuck. It's amazing. Anyway,
I love it. Yeah, my favorite swear word is also fuck, and it's because it's just so recursive. I can just keep going with it.
It's true.
Yeah, so I like to compound it with everything, like I said, and it's just like maybe there's some semantic bleaching for me or something, because it doesn't feel like a swear word as much anymore, depending on who I'm around.
Yeah, it definitely feels like gentler than it did when I was a kid. Like, yeah. I don't know if there has been some bleaching going on, or if we just hear it more now. My guess is yes, we do hear it a lot more. I mean, we use as fuck all the time on the internet. So maybe it has become less of a swear word.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just want to say, if you're gonna swear, just swear. Don't use asterisks.
Oh, yeah.
It really bugs me. It just really bugs me. Because, like, you're putting it into our mind anyway. We can see that you're swearing.
Yeah.
But, like, putting those little asterisks doesn't change anything.
No. It's not gonna, like, help anyone. It's not gonna help children. Children that can read are gonna see it and are gonna know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so if you don't want to swear, just don't swear. That's a valid life choice to make.
Right.
But this intermediate thing, I don't know why it bugs me so much. Okay, well, unless you have anything else you want to add?
No, I just, fucking A, man.
So, asshole, it turns out, is not gentle enough to make it, not to make it onto the iTunes, directory.
Wait, didn't we use asterisks?
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
But even if we had, it would have probably gotten rejected, apparently. So, yeah, we had to change asshole to jerk.
Oh,
so you'll see in our description that we use jerk, but that's not what it was originally intended. We were originally calling people assholes. We're discriminating on the basis of language.
And then iTunes discriminated against us. Like, these fuckers don't deserve to have their own podcast channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's my fault for not making sure that was okay. That is, again, time and place. I get it. Maybe you shouldn't have it in the description. So, mea culpa.
Which means that you might have to resubscribe.
Yes, so if you just subscribed from the first episode, you may have to resubscribe, yeah.
Hopefully you're hearing this. You might not even be hearing this. Hopefully we'll find you again.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
well,
yes. One of our many mistakes that we will surely make.
Yes, we will make more for sure. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. What is our next episode going to be on, Megan?
So our next episode is going to be on Southern English, which was a request, but also very, very important. A lot of things to say about that. I don't know how we're going to do it in 30 minutes.
We'll figure something out.
We will. But much love to Southern English, and we'll be talking about that next time.
So thanks again.
Yeah.
And don't be an asshole.
Don't be a fucking asshole.
Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Where my grills at? Where my grills at? Where is they? Fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck on top of itself, nigga. Fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck shit, fuck shit.
The Vocal Fries podcast is produced by Chris Ayers for Halftone Audio. Theme music by Nick Granum. You can find us on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vocal Fries Pod. You can email us at vocalfriespod@gmail.com.